Welcome to the deep dive. You've probably heard of The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. It's been a massive book.
Jeez.
Today, though, we're not just talking about the story itself, but specifically listening to it, the Audible audiobook experience.
Yeah, that's a key distinction, isn't it? Because the story itself, these two sisters, Vianne and Isabel, in German-occupied France during World War II, it's compelling anyway.
Right.
But the audiobook, which is narrated by Polly Stone and published by Macmillan Audio, well, it offers something different, a unique kind of immersion.
Absolutely. And look, you can get it in other ways: Kindle, hardcover, paperback, even an audio CD if you're old school.
Sure.
But we really want to dig into what makes the audiobook work so well. I mean, this thing hit #1 on the New York Times list, Wall Street Journal Best Book, Reese's Book Club pick.
And it's going to be a movie.
Exactly.
Good.
So the story clearly strikes a chord.
So our mission today, then, isn't really about just recapping the plot. It's more about understanding why this audiobook is so compelling. What is it about listening to it, this format, with this story, that grabs so many people?
Okay, so right off the bat, those numbers, right?
Yeah.
4.7 stars. I mean, with over 360,000 ratings on Audible, that's huge.
It really is. An enormous response.
What does that tell you, that kind of overwhelming positivity?
Well, it strongly suggests the audiobook format itself is just clicking with this particular story.
Yeah.
You know, people aren't just finishing it, they're feeling moved enough to actually go and rate it that high.
Yeah.
It also maybe hints at how accessible audiobooks are now.
How so?
Well, things like the free trial for Audible membership. It lowers that barrier to entry, lets more people give it a try in this format.
That makes sense. And I saw this Whisper Sync for voice feature, too.
Right.
For people who have the Kindle book, it lets you switch between reading and listening seamlessly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they often offer the audiobook at a reduced price if you already own the Kindle version.
Yeah.
It encourages trying both.
Smart. But okay, let's get to the heart of it. Why are people so gripped? What are the core themes that really seem to be resonating with listeners?
I think the big one, the one that comes up again and again, is this deep exploration of love and strength, right in the middle of the horrors of war. It's not just a war story about battles. It's about the very personal, intimate struggles, especially for the women, how they made impossible choices.
The women's war aspect.
Precisely. And just the incredible resilience of people when everything seems lost.
That emotional core, it really jumps out when you look at the listener feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you see words like powerful, deeply emotional, and, well, lots of people calling it a tearjerker.
I believe it.
It sounds like the kind of story that really sticks with you, emotionally, long after you've hit stop.
And what I think works so well, especially maybe in audio, is how Kristin Hannah weaves the real history into this very personal story. Listeners say it really immerses them in what it must have felt like to live through that time in France. And maybe hearing it with the tone and the pacing a narrator brings just amplifies that feeling.
Being present in that time, yeah. And right at the center of it all are the two sisters, Vianne and Isabel, described as really different women facing the occupation in completely different ways. How does hearing the story, listening to it, help us connect with them?
Well, they're contrasting personalities, Vianne's sort of quiet strength versus Isabel's fiery defiance that can become incredibly vivid through a good narration.
I can hear the difference.
Exactly. And as their relationship changes under all that pressure, the little shifts, maybe just in how a line is delivered, can be really powerful for you as a listener. That whole theme of sisterhood, family bonds, it just feels very intimate when it's spoken.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, what you might do? That connection, that empathy with the characters seems crucial to its popularity.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the plot, it's how it's written. What are listeners saying about Kristin Hannah's style?
The praise there is pretty consistent. It's beautifully written, raw, having real depth, but also clarity.
Okay.
Like, she doesn't pull punches about the difficult stuff, the reality of the time, but she still crafts this story that pulls you in and is easy to follow.
Someone even said it listens almost like an actual history book because it's so readable.
That's high praise for historical fiction, isn't it?
It really is. It speaks to that skill, blending the fiction with a believable historical backdrop. It feels grounded.
Right. Not just drama for drama's sake.
Now, pacing. We did see a few different takes on that. How engaging is it hour after hour?
Yeah, that's pretty common with these big character-focused novels. Some listeners were just hooked right from chapter 1. Couldn't stop listening.
Pointing to suspenseful parts.
Exactly. Suspenseful elements keeping things moving. And look, the listening time is over 17 hours.
Wow, yeah.
That tells you It's immersive. It's designed to keep you engaged for the long haul.
But others mentioned maybe a bit of a slow start, like it takes time to build.
Some did, yeah. Laying the groundwork, establishing the characters and the situation.
Which often means the payoff is bigger, right? You invest early on, and then the emotional connection deepens as things unfold.
I think that's often true. And the fact that it's called thought-provoking so often suggests it's doing more than just entertaining. It's making people think about history.
Reflecting on what happened.
For sure. Themes like redemption, perseverance come through strongly. And listeners talk about memorable moments that really stick with them. The audio format can be interesting there, too. You might be listening while doing other things, and these big themes kind of weave into your day, giving you space to mull them over.
That's a great point. And just a reminder for anyone listening who's intrigued, you can find a link to the audiobook on Audible right there in the description.
Definitely worth checking out if this sounds like your kind of story.
So finally, the narration itself. Polly Stone. We don't have, specific quotes about her performance in our sources.
Right. Not direct feedback snippets.
But the fact that the audiobook overall gets such incredibly high marks, that strongly suggests she's doing a fantastic job, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A narrator is crucial. They can totally make or break an audiobook experience.
Yeah.
And given the reaction here, it seems her performance is a huge asset in bringing this story to life.
And again, if you want to experience that performance, the link to the Audible version is in the description.
So, okay, let's try and bring it all together. This deep dive into the Nightingale audiobook, it really shows a powerful listening experience.
Yeah.
You've got this incredibly moving story resilience, sisterhood, wartime France, combined with writing that people love, and seemingly a really compelling narration.
Even without the specifics on the narrator, the results speak for themselves.
Exactly. And that 17-plus hour runtime, it just allows for such a deep dive, a real connection with Vianne and Isabel.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. The Nightingale blends history with these very personal stories. What unique things might listening to it, the audiobook format, reveal about the experiences of women during war, maybe experiences that often go untold?
That's interesting.
And how does just the act of listening, hearing a voice tell these stories, shape your emotional connection in a way that maybe just reading the words on a page doesn't quite capture?